My name is Lynn Houghton, and I have a lot of different titles. I guess for the purposes of this program, I am a local historian. I'm also a librarian. I give walking tours, and I also teach at Western Michigan University. What is interesting and surprising about the Vine neighborhood and the Vine architecture is its variety. There are some buildings there that are very unique to the Vine neighborhood. Like they have the only two octagons in the community, and really I think probably not so much in southwestern Michigan, but definitely around the area. There are some wonderful examples of architecture that you see all over the place. Greek revivals, Queen Anne's, Italianates. They may not be as large and prominent as what you might find in some of the other neighborhoods in Kalamazoo, for example, in South Street and the Stewart neighborhood. But they're wonderful examples of these architectural styles. The other thing about the Vine neighborhood is you have just about examples of just about every architectural style that you can find that was prevalent anywhere from the 1830s up until probably the 1950s. There's probably an even split in the Vine neighborhood of just about every architectural style. I haven't really done a street-by-street inventory. There would be probably the same number of Italianates as Queen Anne's. I don't think that you find too many houses in that era that look the same, although when you get into the early 20th century, then you get into more examples of developers that came in and maybe built 2, 3, maybe 4 houses that were very, very similar, that they did that, but there's definitely a variety. Well, one of the things that the Vine neighborhood has, the style is not unique to the Vine neighborhood, but the house is very unique, and that is the oldest house in Kalamazoo. It's the Justice Burdick home, built in 1838. It sits on the corner of Vine and Westnedge. It's not its original location. It was located in the downtown area. It was moved 2 times, but that's unique in the sense that it is the oldest house built in 1838. Since 2002, I have been giving walking tours for Gazelle Sports. I've been doing walking tours for over 29 years, but for the last 7 years, I do a summer and fall series for Gazelle Sports. These tours are free and open to the public. They're 90 minutes long, and we are going in all different places this year for the 2009 season. The first morning tour will start on June 5th at 8 a.m., leaving from Gazelle. The first evening tour will be Thursday evening at 6:30 on June 11th. There will be information at the library, and there will be also information on Gazelle's website, which is www.gazellesports.com. So I hope that people will come because it's a lot of fun, and we get out and walk and find out what's going on in these areas. Before we get started, I'd just like to make 2 announcements, okay? Or I should say 2 announcements, 2 advertisements, however one might describe these. The first one I want to say, and I'm not going to get onto it tonight, but if you have a chance and if you have access to the computer, I really recommend that you get onto obviously the Kalamazoo Public Library website, but especially the website for the local history room, because Beth has really done a lot in the website and putting a lot of information about Kalamazoo and the essays on Kalamazoo history, and I think that you would really enjoy it. So make sure you get onto that, and you can get onto that through the main library website, which is www.kpl.gov. The other thing I want to mention is that for those of you, and I know that I have some of you who have been on my walking tours before, some of you who have spoken in our walking tours before, helped us along. Yes, Lance, I'm thinking of you when you joined us one night in the park. Anyway, we're getting revved up for our new series of Gazelle Historic Walks, and before you leave, make sure you grab at that table this half yellow sheet of paper. This is my sort of really down and dirty schedule of tours that we're going to be doing this year. It's not fancy, doesn't have a lot of fancy illustrations, but it will give you the basic dates, the locations that we will be at, and where you should meet. If you have not been on these tours before, as Beth said, this is going to be the 8th year that I have done these tours. They're free, they're open to the public, they last about 90 minutes long, and we're going in various places. And for example, Pat, I didn't have the date last week, but August 28th, we are going to be in the Vine Historic neighborhood. So anyway, so make sure you pick up one of these. We're starting them on Friday, June 5th. So anyway, so I hope that will be good. In the meantime, I am going to be doing one for Preservation Month. I'm going to be doing a walking tour for Preservation Month a week from Thursday, which is May 21st at 6 p.m. And we're going to be leaving from Gazelle Sports. If you don't know where it is, it's located on the Kalamazoo Mall. And that one is free. That will be about 60 minutes to 90 minutes or so. And we'll be walking around the downtown area. So that will be a general one around the downtown area. That's not on the yellow sheet, but that will be next Thursday. It's going to be an exciting time to be in downtown that evening because I also found out that it's also Girls on the Run. So it's going to be fun to do our tour and dodge these very enthusiastic 4th and 5th graders. So anyway, we shall do it. I have done it before. All right. Well, at least one thing I want to mention to you before we get started. If you live in the Vine neighborhood, you may see your house, you may not see your house, I don't know, but I will say, unfortunately, because of the depth and the breadth of the neighborhood, I was not able to photograph every house. So if I did that and if I showed that, we would be here for a long time. So what I try to get is just a little flavor of the architecture in the Vine neighborhood. The other thing is I tried to capture as many architectural styles as I could. Also, I want to mention too that sometimes, we have these programs which are really great, which are called interactive. My walks are very interactive, as Dick knows, who's helped me with the tours before, that sometimes I have people who add things to my tours, also add things to my program. So if you want to add anything as we're going along, Sharon, I know you'll want to add some things as we go along here, that's certainly fine. And this is a very informal sort of setting, and that's all right. So what I was hoping this evening is just to get a flavor of the architecture in the Vine neighborhood. So anyway, all right, Beth. Well, now this seems like a very strange slide to start off with. You probably expected some fancy title slide. You're going to have to wait for that. Because I wanted to start off with this one because, unfortunately, this is the way that a lot of people see the Vine neighborhood. Either going south on Westnedge Avenue or going north on Park Street. That's about the way the majority of people see the Vine neighborhood. Unfortunately, when they do that, they miss treasures like this or little houses like this. I should mention, I'm not going to give too many details about this house because we're going to talk about this later, but this is a house on Wheaton Avenue. No, Village, I'm sorry. See, when you got people in the Vine neighborhood, you better watch what you say because they're there to correct you, and that's all right. Okay, I stand corrected. Village Avenue. Of course I knew that. Okay, so Village Avenue, a little Queen Anne on Village Avenue, a little Greek Revival on Wheaton. Village? Okay. Boy, am I batting really great here this evening. All right. This one on Merrill Street. Oh, that's right. Now, I can't miss this one, can I? Because they very nicely put Merrill Street on this, but this little Queen Anne here. So what I've entitled my program this evening is The Architecture of Vine, a Neighborhood Full of Surprises, because I think it does really surprise a lot of people if they get off Park Street and get off Westnedge and get into the neighborhoods, surprise them of the depth and the breadth of the architecture that we find in the Vine neighborhood. A couple things, and Sharon had talked about these last week, but I just want to review them ever so briefly. When you look at the early beginnings of Vine, obviously agriculture. We had farms here, whether it was the Axtell Farm. The Axtell Farm was located in the southern part of the neighborhood. The boundaries, depending on what you read, talk about Wheaton, West, Oak Street, or what we now know as Oak Street. And in one of the descriptions I read, talked about West Hill. We also had the Epaphroditus Ransom Farm, which was over near where the State Theater is, around in that area. So parts of Vine were, yes, originally we had some sort of agriculture. Also, it's interesting in the Vine neighborhood because the first fairgrounds, and there was a horse racing track in the area. The fairgrounds, we know that the buildings or the bleachers were on West Street between Wheaton and, let's see, what did I have here? I had it here and I didn't write it down. Oh well, anyway, it was on West Street.